Hi there, you're listening to the Paralegals on Fire podcast show where you'll be getting tips and actionable strategies that you can use right now to fast track your paralegal career. I'm your host, Ann Pearson, former paralegal and paralegal manager who left big law in the concrete jungle to start my own company, the Paralegal Boot Camp, where we give online courses that help paralegals make more money, increase their job security, and cut out the learning curve. All right, let's jump right into today's episode. I was talking with a senior paralegal last week, and something she said inspired me to do a special series of short episodes, kind of like bite-sized daily tips. Let me explain. That paralegal said that she teaches part-time in the paralegal certificate program at a local community college where she lives. And she shares some of my podcast episodes with her class because it's stuff that she wishes that she had access to when she was starting her paralegal career decades ago. I agreed. And that was, in fact, a big motivator for me when I started the show. As you know from the show's intro, the mission of the podcast is to provide actionable strategies to help paralegals fast track their careers. So I was sitting on my back porch, the place I always go for inspiration. I know this is going to sound weird, but every single time I'm stuck, either trying to come up with a podcast topic or stuck trying to figure something out in the business, I always go to the back porch and I bring a pad of paper or my remarkable tablet. And in a short time, it just hits me. Bam. And I don't stop writing until they stop coming out of my head. Anyway, I'm sitting there on the porch and I wrote the words, "I wish this podcast was available to me in 1992. And I immediately said, that's it. I'm going to do an episode for paralegals who are still in school or maybe just recently graduated. But instead of one big 15 or 20-minute episode, I'm going to have the series come out every day. Every day, I'm going to put together an episode, one short one, daily for you, starting tomorrow through Wednesday. I've got 5 great nuggets of advice for new paralegals. And, now that I think about it, as I'm sitting to record this episode, I just thought of a 6th one. But I'll just include that as a bonus episode after the 5 bite-sized episodes. Now, instead of me going all the way back to the early 90s and giving you a list of things that I wished I knew back then, they wouldn't necessarily be relevant today, right? For example, you've heard the story I told about me wearing a pantsuit to work my first day and being asked to go home and change because women weren't allowed to wear pants at the firm. Yeah, that really happened. That rule really existed in some law firms, not all, but some, until the mid-90s or later. Lessons like that wouldn't do you any good today if you're a new paralegal. So I'm going to share some of the biggest pitfalls or mistakes that I see new paralegals make early in their career that could be holding them back. And if you're making any of them, what you can do to self-correct now so that it's not a pitfall to your career. I want to give a big shout out to all the people who recently completed our free 5-day bootcamp challenge. It's the first time I've held one, and it was so much fun. If you missed it, don't worry. I'm definitely going to be doing it again in a couple of months because I enjoyed it so much. We met live on a Saturday, and then I emailed them each day with one thing that they had to do to complete the challenge for that day. There were 633 people who participated in the challenge, and so many of them reached out and said how the challenge kind of gave them a to-do list going forward, helped them feel more confident at work, all these positive attributes. That's something I'll never get tired of. Reading things like, I felt more confident. I now have a better handle on XYZ. Selfishly, here's why I'm definitely going to be doing the challenge again. Because afterwards, the day after, it made me feel even more grateful than I already was. Grateful that I get to do something that's impacting people's careers. I've said my mission is to help paralegals earn more money, increase their career security, and enjoy the work they do. And when I get to read that in Zoom chat messages and in emails or course reviews, whether it's the free challenge or messages I get from you, the listeners. In fact, let me grab this one that I literally printed it out and taped it to my wall here a couple weeks ago. I won't use her name, but she wrote to me and said she was doing an end of the year review with a leadership group that she's part of and was asked to write to 3 people who were the most influential to her in 2023. And I was one of them. I was so honored. Wait, let me set the backstage for you. The morning I was reading this, the day before was not a great day. I went to bed exhausted and pretty stressed. This was the first email that I woke up to the next morning as I'm drinking my coffee. I'll skip to the first paragraph that I summarized. She's got this leadership thing and she reaches out to me, and I was one of the influential people for her. And so this woman had taken our litigation boot camp in the fall of 2022 and into the spring of 2023. She wrote 3 paragraphs, and I won't read all of them to you. She spoke to specific sections of the course that helped her, and then she wrote, and these are her exact words, "Without your course, I think I would still be waiting for tasks and feeling half blind to the litigation process. We had a great year at our firm, and because of the skills you taught, I know I played a role in that." When I read those words, I immediately got a little tears in my eyes, I'm going to admit. You know why? Because she's confident now. And she knows that she played a role in her firm having a great year. When I read words like that, I'm so grateful that I get to do something I love that's also making an impact in someone else's life. I don't know if I remembered to announce on Monday's episode, I don't think I did, but the litigation boot camp is currently open for enrollment, but it closes on February 8th. It's the on-demand training program, and it has around 15 hours of video lessons that walk litigation paralegals through every step of a case and shows you exactly what to do so that you're not blindly guessing what it is you should be doing, and so that you're not sitting at your desk waiting for the attorney to come in and tell you what needs to be done, because you know that's always going to be at the last minute and without much direction. But here's the thing, and the part I love most about the course, it includes me jumping into Zoom once a month for live group coaching for that whole year. And I do that to make sure that everyone has the support that they need going through the course. Go visit the course page, read all the reviews, and you'll see what I mean about how grateful I feel when you see what some of these paralegals have written. It's at litigationparalegalbootcamp.com. And then get ready for the next 5 days. We're going to do 5 pitfalls to avoid as a new paralegal and how to reverse course if you've already done any of those things. Oh, and I almost forgot. They're going to come out on consecutive days. So you'll also have episodes over the weekend too, but they're going to be short ones. All right, I'll see you, or you'll hear from me tomorrow. All right, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, hit the subscribe button in whatever platform you're listening. And please take a quick minute and leave a review of the podcast, and share this episode with just one colleague or friend who you think would benefit from what we discussed today. Share the knowledge, and the entire paralegal profession elevates. See you next week. Bye for now.